George Santos' campaign last year was a campaign of deceit, lies, and fabrication. He deceived the voters of the 3rd Congressional District. He deceived the members of the Nassau County Republican Committee, elected officials, his colleagues, candidates, his opponents, and even some of the media. His lies were not mere fibs. He disgraced the House of Representatives, and in particular, his fabrications went too far. Many groups were hurt. Specifically, I look at those families that were touched by the horrors of the Holocaust and feel for them. He has no place in the Nassau County Republican Committee, nor should he serve in public service, nor as an elected official. He's not welcome here at Republican headquarters for meetings or at any of our events. As I said, he's disgraced the House of Representatives, and we do not consider him one of our congresspeople. Today, on behalf of the Nassau County Republican Committee, I am calling for his immediate resignation.
I join with you, and I join with my colleagues in saying that George Santos does not have the ability to serve here in the House of Representatives and should resign.
For him to make up this story that his parents were Holocaust survivors is beyond the pale. It is simply tragic and outrageous and disgusting. And I join here with my colleagues in government calling for George Santos' resignation because he cannot serve anymore. He does not deserve that right. He is a stain on the House of Representatives. He's a stain on the 3rd Congressional District. And as of today, I have ordered my staff that any federal constituent calls that come into the county executive's offices will now be referred to Congressman Anthony D'Esposito, that Congressman D'Esposito has graciously accepted that responsibility. My office will have no interaction with George Santos or his staff until he resigns.
Today, I'm calling on George Santos to immediately resign from Congress for the 3rd District. The lies George Santos told are too numerous to count. He lied to me personally when he sought my endorsement, and while I'm offended and disgusted at his deceit, my true concern is for the residents of the 3rd Congressional District. He has betrayed the public's trust and given insincere, glib, and insulting answers when asked legitimate questions about his finances and his background. By all accounts, he seems incapable and unwilling to take full responsibility for his lies and fabrications. Beyond all that, he is under local, state, and federal investigations as serious questions have arisen about his campaign finances. There's absolutely no way Mr. Santos can be an effective member of Congress and represent the people who elected him. The longer he remains in office, the longer the residents of the 3rd Congressional District will suffer. Mr. Santos, haven't you done enough harm? I call on Mr. Santos to immediately resign.
When you build something on lies and no ethics and no responsibility, there's accountability. George Santos has no business serving in Congress. On behalf of all the board members, and frankly, the 750,000 residents live in the town of Hempstead, it's time to go. It's time to get out. You know what? You see a unified voice here. You know what? He's unified the country in their opposition to him. He's a national joke. He's an international joke. But this joke's got to go. And it's on us calling him for him to resign immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week, today.
In 2020, George Santos, a Queens Republican, came to us to seek our endorsement. We have a standard process that we followed. We trusted people. He went through an interview process with committee members, members of our party. He answered the questions, obviously not truthfully, but at that time we trusted him. He submitted a resume which is totally untruthful. And so based upon the answers to the questions, based upon the fact that he was recommended from Queens County, based upon the fact that he submitted a resume in writing with credentials. We supported his nomination. Obviously, we have learned in the past few weeks that much of it was fabricated and untrue. We are now going to change our process. Shame on me for believing people.
The situation has become untenable for me as an elected official, as I'm sure it has for my colleagues, and that is, how do you deal with somebody who is an out-and-out liar? And I couldn't stomach doing that anymore. I came to that conclusion very recently, and while I do believe in due process, I think that we don't need the process to unfold. He's basically confessed, and he needs help. This is not a normal person. A person who tells that length and breadth of lies, built one on top of the other, is not a normal person. He needs to get help. And the bottom line is, this is a forgiving country. It is a compassionate country. And if he does get help and he shows true remorse, there will be a future for George Santos. But until he stops deluding himself that he can continue in Congress, I want nothing to do with him, and I'm not going to deal with his office.
He just said he will not resign. He just spoke to reporters a moment ago and said he will not resign. What is your reaction?
He should resign. That's why we're all here today calling upon him to do that, to speak to him.
So the fact that he now says he's not going to resign, I know you said that you're not going to deal with him and so forth, but is there any other recourse that you have?
I think that the Ethics Committee in the Congress, and I know from what I've read in the papers, not through any other means, that the various investigative agencies, perhaps including, federal agencies and local agencies, are looking into some of the transactions during his campaign.